Today I want to focus on sunsets. We have a lot of requests for sunsets, and I see a lot of you guys struggling with some of the sunsets that you have to create, and I want to show you the general concept behind making a good sunset. So this couple right here asked if we could put a sunset behind them. So I created a clipping path. I don't know why that's not working. There we go. And I found a sunset. So I'm going to copy this sunset and then paste it into the selection. And then we're going to fit it in. Okay. So first let me just quickly fix her hair so we don't have to look at that the whole time. I'm using a paintbrush on, it's a medium size so we can get softness to her hair. I don't want a really sharp edge or it won't look natural. So I'm going to just blend her hair really quick and then do the same thing for him. I'm hitting shift and clicking so it allows me to go around the edge really quickly like that. Of course, if I was working on this, I would zoom in and do it more carefully, but for this for the sake of this video, we're not going to do that. So, oops, now that we have the edges all right, the most important thing about sunsets is that we really want to get a good match of color between the background and the foreground, and also a match of lighting. So as you can see, I mean, a lot of editors turn in photos that look like this, and this is not believable because the background is so yellow and the subjects are not yellow. If you take your dropper tool, you can grab a color from the figure, from the main image, and see that we're in the red zone right now. They're very pink, and even on his shirt, it's in the purple and blue. So purple and blue are the opposite of orange and yellow, which is the background. So that's why it does not look real. So let's start. I always adjust the color in the background and in the subjects. So I use the curves tool to play with color. I have another video about this, but I'll show you again. We want to adjust curves because we have more control in curves over the highlights, the shadows, and the highlights when it comes to color. So I'm starting with blue because the opposite of blue is yellow, and the background is very yellow. So as you can see, if I bring this down, it gets even more yellow. Or if I bring it up, it starts to turn all the highlights blue. But we want to reduce the yellow in the shadows because the shadows, there's many more shadows than highlights. So I'm just going to soften the yellow a little bit by adding some blue because we have a lot of blue in the figures. So I'm going to just bring it up a little bit, and then I'm going to give it a little red since we have a lot of red in our subjects. And this, as you can see, this is adding red, and this would be adding cyan. So that does match the subjects better, but yeah, let's try that actually. Let's add some cyan. If you play with these, you can find something that starts to match. So that looks pretty good. And now I'm going to go to the subjects, and I'm going to add, I want to add yellow to them, get rid of some of that blue to make it look more believable. So I add some yellow, and then I'm going, the opposite of green is magenta, and I think if I add some magenta, it's going to really make it look real, more blended. So as you can see, this is already a better match between the subjects and the background. And now I just want to adjust with levels. I just want to adjust they're too bright. It just doesn't look real. So I'm going to bring it down a little bit. And already we have a much better match. I don't know if you can see that or not. But the thing that I just really like the curves tool, because if you bring one side, if you give the shadows more cyan and then you give the highlights more red, it kind of softens the blacks, and it just, you know, in a lot of photographs you don't have such harsh black tones, and it just gives it a softer look and makes it look more realistic. So that's something I like to do. And then finally, what I always like to do is go in with the elliptical tool and put it on a 50 feather, so that you're grabbing a certain area, but you're not isolating that area specifically. And as you can see, her hands are really bright. So I'm just going to select the area around her hands, and then using the Alt key, you know, isolate it even more around her hands, and then just darken those a little bit more. And then we can go in to their faces. I always like to give people's faces a little extra attention, and, you know, play with the levels. And then sometimes if it's a little blurry, I'll go in and unsharp mask and give it some more detail. So already we have a very realistic sunset, and that's what I want to see from you guys. I really want you to play with these colors and get the background to match and get the lighting to match. And yeah, the edges are a little harsh. I could have softened. I could have, you know, before when I had this selection, I could have feathered just 1 pixel, and that would have made it a little bit softer. So try that as well. And that's it. Thanks for